There are two things that you should know about me. I don't take no for an answer, and meeting strangers and speaking in public didn't always come easy to me. To put this in perspective, when I moved to New York from Sweden in 1994, with a goal to work on Wall Street, like the movie Working Girl, pinstripe business suit, corner office, carrying a briefcase, it didn't take me long to realize that was going to be pretty difficult to achieve with only a high school education. I had to go to college. So I applied to NYU only to get declined. I tried again and I applied to Pace University for the spring semester. October went by, November, December. I started panicking as there was no way I was going to go back to Sweden as a failure. So first day of school came by and still nothing. So I said, they are not going to stop me. I need to take matters in my own hands. So I got on the subway to City Hall. I marched down past Brooklyn Bridge to Pace Plaza and entered the tall, gray, mid-century modern building. I remember my heart was racing and my palms were sweating as the tall, skinny admissions officer offered me to take a seat in an orange plastic chair. Very classy. Luckily, he didn't offer to shake my sweaty hand. I looked at him and I said, listen, it's first day of school. I need you, my future depends on it, and I need you to please help me. And then I sat there and watched him, without expression, lick his finger at every page turn. And when he reached the last page, he looked up at me and said, they haven't decided yet. That's when I pull out $6,000 in cash. That's all it cost back then. I said, listen, I have the first semester tuition, and I need to know where to pay. He looked at me as if I had two heads before he got up and left the room. And he was gone for a really long time. My heart was racing. I didn't know, should I be excited or should I be upset? He returned with a class schedule in hand to let me know that he had enrolled me in the mandatory English 99. I didn't know what the mandatory English 99 was, but I went like, yes! For the next 4 years, that tall, gray, beautiful building was my shelter and my reminder to keep moving forward. I was there until I proudly stood on stage to pick up my shiny blue bachelor and MBA diploma and toss my cap in the air. Fast forward to 17 years later. I was thriving as a financial advisor on Wall Street when everything changed. I went from the phone ringing off the hook to no incoming phone calls almost overnight. I had to pivot or else I would lose everything. That's when a trusted friend said to me, Tina, I know it makes you uncomfortable, but you need to go network. And as a self-proclaimed numbers geek who likes to hide in her corner office, I knew he was right. So I went networking. I brought my husband as a safety net. He was in a bar in one of those trendy New York City hotels where, the ones that are dark, loud, and full of hundreds of strangers. As we entered, I said to my husband, what do I say to these people? Ask them a question. People love talking about themselves, he said. My hands were sweating as I walked up to the first stranger, Robert, who, like the rest of them, was drinking red wine, chit-chatting, exchanging contacts. That night, I spoke with a few people, but I noticed that they were not very interested in meeting me. And some even rolled their eyes. I mean, who needs another financial advisor? That night, Robert said, "Where are you networking tomorrow?" And I was like, I have to do this again? So I did. I listened and I did. And I was networking day after day, and it was a horrible experience for me. Not to mention that I needed an elevator pitch, which was even worse, as I always stumble on words and and my accent didn't help. But I did it. While I was trying to figure this out, I organized a coup. Our co-op board was increasing our maintenance fees every year, and it irritated me. So we got some neighbors together, threw out the old board with a goal to cut our building's expenses. And if this was right up my alley as a Swede. If any of you have ever been to IKEA, you know what I'm talking about, because we like to live small, simple, and efficient. I used my analytical skills. To, and was able to save our building $340,000. Thank you. So when I was out networking, instead of introducing myself as a financial advisor and getting eye rolls, I introduced myself as, I'm Tina Larsson, and I helped my co-op save $340,000. And would you believe it? All the strangers were all of a sudden interested and wanted to talk with me. Some even said, can I introduce you to my co-op board? And that's when my husband and I hung up shingles and started our business, the Folsom Group. I went from being a data nerd who hid behind her desk to being an entrepreneur. For what has become a fast-growing business consultancy, supporting hundreds of co-op and condo boards in New York City. But I thought, and I continued, if any of you have ever been on your own business, you know that in order for you to succeed, it takes a lot of networking, building relationships, and you need a lot of friends. I had no choice but to continue to network. I thought back on that first day of school when I marched down to Pace University and didn't take no for an answer. Something had to change. I needed to take matters in my own hands and face my fears. With the help of coaches and mentors who supported me and made me realize that I needed to change my attitude and embrace making friends, it became easier. So my coaches and mentors helped me embrace making friends. So I no longer have a pit in my stomach when I meet strangers. But the pit in my stomach is still there when I speak. But it could also be because I'm excited to share my story with you here today. I no longer like to shake hands because I like to hug my friends. So after the show tonight, I will come around and I will hug every single one of you.